for 2.5 years without any glitches. I don't understand.
Well, welcome to Tech Club for March. As we all know, it's not the usual circumstances, so bear with us. Coffee didn't get made. We're spread out a little more than usual. There are some snacks up here Jenny brought. We just don't have much to drink with it. One of the presenters today is going to present later in the year. Has some neat stuff, and I'm going to send out a newsletter since he couldn't make it today, that has some of his information to give you a head start. But for this month, our main guest is a repeat encore presentation, our own former president and hopefully new board member, Tom Howlin.
Can everybody hear me, or do I need the mic? Can you hear me? The HOA was nice enough to throw away our lapel microphones, which is what I used to use. So I sent Tim a real long, nasty email, but making him responsible for it. So hopefully we'll have those back, and then presenters can do it without holding the microphone in front of them. But if anybody can't hear, I'll be happy to carry the microphone around. Couple low-tech tips before we start. If you're in need of hand sanitizer, 2 parts alcohol to 1 part aloe makes a beautiful hand sanitizer. It's what I carry around in my little handy-dandy self-dispensing pen. The other tip is don't get your Clorox disinfectant wipes mixed up with your toilet paper. Okay. From personal experience, I can tell you. It's not pleasant. When we did this presentation for the first time, which was about 5 years ago, believe it or not, we had one slide, get an antenna. Okay. And as things progressed, we added to it and built on it. And now it's been a couple years since we did it, and things have progressed even further. I'm going to close these doors because I'm picking up. I guess. We've progressed, and we've added things, and technology has come a long way. We may all be spending a lot more time in our houses based on what's going on in the world. So having mucho entertainment available is important. Otherwise, you and your spouse are probably going to, the coronavirus rate will drop dramatically, but unfortunately the murder rate will go up. So we need things to do. So this is the March 2020 version of Cutting the Cord. And part of cutting the cord is cutting the cost. I don't know about the rest of you, but every time I get a freaking, it's okay to say freaking, right? Yeah. Comcast bill, it goes up. It goes up 38 cents this month, $2 the next month. Anita used to have an inside line to a secret phone number at Comcast. Did, and it worked. Don't work anymore. They don't care. And it doesn't do much good to go down to the sales office anymore. When they were across the street, you could actually talk to a engineering person. You could get stuff done. Now they're all salespeople. So this is what various sources say are the average cost for a family and their technology package, which includes cable TV, internet, cell phones, streaming, landlines, etc. But the average family, doesn't mean in Sunflower, but in the United States, is paying $4,524 per year. That's a lot of money, because everybody in this room, except me of course, grew up with nothing but free TV. We had 2 channels, and if you held the tinfoil, you had 3. Okay, and it was always my job to hold the tinfoil, so I never saw the 3rd channel. But we weren't paying for TV. We were paying for a phone. Internet was something that had never been heard of. And so our technology costs weren't a big deal. At this number, they're a big deal. So what are the objectives of all this? And you can see them up there. Which one is most important to you all? Shout it out.
Phone.
Cell phone. Cell phone's not up there.
Oh, reduce costs.
Of those objectives, which is most important?
Internet connection.
Not up there.
Costs.
How about reduce costs?
Of what's, okay. We want to reduce costs, But if we don't do this, nobody will do it. If I stand up here and give you the most complicated set of instructions on how to cut costs, you're going to walk out of here going, I'll live with what I got. We've got to make it as easy as we can for people to be able to cut the cord and cut the costs. So that's part of how we focus the presentation. Some easy things to do. If you've got a landline, consider doing a bundle with Comcast or CenturyLink, only because for some oddball reason, they make 3 services cheaper than 2. I think it's to lock you in, but that's their philosophy. Consider home security from Comcast only just to cut your overall costs. They'll knock $20 off your bill if you sign up for because they're hoping that when your 1 year or 2 year commitment runs out and the cost of home security goes to $99 a month, you'll be so used to it, you'll keep it. Okay, so that's their game plan. Sharing streaming. How many people have Netflix in here? Okay, how many of you share it with other family members? Most of you. Oh, some of you. Okay. You can legally share Netflix right now, they change, with 5 other people. Okay? And I share it with my family back east, so it's not like we have the same internet service provider or the same URL address. It's going from Maryland to Arizona, and Netflix doesn't send me nasty grams or anything else. And so you share it with 5 people, you cut the cost of it down to $2.60. And you get the people to send you a check once a month. Hulu. How many have Hulu? Just one. Did you know you can share it with one other person? You know for $10 more a month you can share it with as many as you want? I didn't know that.
I'm on my son's.
Yeah.
We have Hulu.
Oh, okay, yeah. Most of the services, the streaming services, allow you to share it at least with one other person. I didn't know this. DirecTV and Dish allow sharing to other devices. Only live though. You can't DVR it, you can't delay it. But if you've got a daughter off at college, there's a commercial on TV that shows this. Her and her dad like to watch a show together. And so she watches it on her tablet while he watches it on TV, and there's no charge for it. So if you've got somebody that wants DirecTV and doesn't care about a DVR, you can end up splitting the cost with them of the package. And this one, I can't get anybody to do this. I keep talking about it, nobody will do it. There's no reason why you cannot share your internet. The speeds have gotten so high that one connection will easily serve 2 houses. Easy. Probably serve 3 or 4 to be honest. But it'll easily serve 2. My router sits in my, what they call a hobby room, which is 8 feet away from my neighbor's window. If we have a repeater in her house at that window, it picks up my router signal on a separate network than mine. You all have a guest network on your router you can activate. You can call it something else and make it secure. So they're seeing a different side of the router than you are. They can't get to your stuff, you can't get to theirs. And yet they get to share the speed and you split the cost. The only downside is that if you're doing that with a neighbor, you're fully dependent upon that neighbor to keep the internet on. So if they go away for 3 months, and the day they leave, the internet crashes, you're waiting 3 months to get back to the internet because they're gone, unless they give you a key and show you how to reboot their router and stuff. Now, if you live next door to a geek like me, you'd never have a problem, okay? Well, Anita goes away though, so you could.
Yeah, but we're sharing with our next door neighbors.
Okay, there's a live example then.
It just works because they leave to go back to North Dakota, we go to California.
Okay.
Neither one of us need it then.
Yeah, and do you split the cost, Anita? Is that
We haven't been splitting the cost because they're here for such a short amount of time.
okay?
They just take us out to dinner.
Okay. Well, but it works for both of you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's, as the speeds get higher and higher, this becomes an easier and easier thing to do because it's not diminishing what you do on the internet. So if you can go home today and cut your internet cost by half by sharing with a neighbor, think about it. Okay, as long as you feel that the neighbor's pretty technologically advanced and can work with the router, knows how to reboot stuff like Anita does, then it might be something bull. You can broadcast your Wi-Fi signal as far as it will go. And if you want to let somebody use it, you have a perfectly legal right to do it. Okay, if you're a Comcast user and you don't already know about this, you can switch your mobile phone to Comcast for free. Okay, I've done it. Buzz Brooks did it. A number of members have done it. You literally pay $2 a month in a tax. You got to pay the tax, whatever that is. And if you decide you want to use a lot of data on your phone while you're out and about, you'll get charged for it, $12 a gigabyte. But what we have found is people our age don't do that. It's the kids that are, it's unlimited talk and text. But if you want to look up something on the internet, that's data transfer. People our age just don't do that. We do it in an environment where there's Wi-Fi and it's free. So it doesn't count towards your data usage. It's only if you're out and about and need to use it. My wife and I did a 30-day trip to all the national parks and we got lost. And she called up Waze on it, on her phone to find out where we were and get us. It didn't even use 100 megabytes, so it wasn't any big deal. So this has been the biggest savings that I've seen. And antennas still work.
Tom, how do you make that switch from, to put your, how do you make that switch to put your mobile phone on Comcast? You just call Comcast?
Go down there. I go down. I wouldn't call them.
That's a good use of this
Yes.
place down in Arizona.
Yeah, because what they'll do is, I had to buy a new phone. My phone wasn't compatible with their system. Lucy's was. She has any Apple phone is.
What about Android?
Most Androids are now. They've come a long way since I signed up the first month this was available.
Do you think it's still worth it with Comcast constantly up?
Well, let me get to the end.
Okay.
Because you're right, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Because they're constantly raising the prices of everything. Antennas, this is the one that we've been demonstrating for 5 years. It's made by a company called Clearstream. It picks up somewhere between 19 and 23 channels. People are using it effectively. Tim's got it, right?
Yeah,
How many channels?
yeah, about 23, something
Yeah.
like that. A lot of them are duplicated. Though.
Yeah, they're duplicated, but you get all the networks. You get PBS, and then you get there's a country western channel or some CW or something.
There's a movie channel.
A movie
A
channel.
bunch of old TV.
Yeah, and then a lot of Spanish language channels if you're trying to learn Spanish. But it's free. You know, you pay to get it put up, and once it's hooked up to your TV, it's back like the olden days, okay? Except you get a really high quality picture out of it, because if it doesn't get an HD picture, it won't bring in this station at all. In other words, it's got to be a good picture before it locks in and says, I've got this picture.
And the weather does affect it a little bit.
Huh?
The weather does.
Yeah, the weather does affect it a little bit. The biggest problem we've had in the past with people who wanted to do this is who's going to install it for me? Because none of us should be climbing a ladder trying to put an antenna up on our roof, okay? Unless you want to get a hip replacement or worse. So there's always been this, who are we going to get to do it? If you don't belong to Nextdoor, which is the forum for neighborhoods, you ought to join it. Because Nextdoor has a lot of good information about Continental Ranch, Sunflower, and there's a lot of handymen that are on that site. And if enough people wanted to do it, Tim has volunteered to contact one of the handymen that he knows. Because to make it worth his while, we'd like to be able to say, we've got 6 homes that want to have an antenna installed today. So he can come into the neighborhood, be here all day, get those 6 homes done, charge $100 a home, and he makes $600. And $100 would be a very fair price for it.
Tom, it says you could, if we've got a satellite connection already on the house.
Yes.
Can they mount this to that same bracket?
Yes. My antenna goes up and down all the time.
'Cause every time
I get mad at Comcast and I cut them off and I put my antenna up. They call me up and say, we're sorry we made you mad. We'll give you $10 off. And I go, okay, take my antenna down. But yeah, I've got an old DirecTV mast that I clamped that to, and the cable's already there.
So the cable that you can, that's what I'm trying to get, how do I get that signal, the cable from that?
If you had satellite, they left the cable behind.
Okay.
And it runs right down to the side of your house to the cable box. You hook this into it, and it screws in just like it does any other coaxial cable.
Oh, right into the cable box.
Um,
Okay. Yep. So-
It's right there,
Yep.
and it's
Boom, you're there.
boom, done. So yeah, if you've had a DirecTV or Dish up on your house before, most of the time they leave the mast behind and they leave the cable run, so you can get that hooked up and you're ready to go. So it's an easy way to do it, other than climbing a ladder to get up there. Okay, this is just my personal experience with cutting the cost. Okay, it doesn't mean to be the same for you. It's just to show you what it did for me. My cell phone bill and my old cable and internet was $215 a month. When I went with the free cell phone with Comcast, the total package now is $129 a month. The $4 difference in my internet bill is the tax that they charge you for on the using the phone. So I saved $86 a month or $1,000 a year, and it's still Verizon, which is who we had before. Voicemail, everything else still same coverage, nothing changed, other than it went from being $90 a month to zero, which is, yes.
Still with Verizon, what's the point of Xfinity Mobile?
What's their point?
Yeah. Are we talking about two separate services or one provider? I'm not sure here.
Well, Xfinity doesn't have their own cell towers. So they got to go with AT&T, Verizon, whoever. They pick Verizon. They don't advertise that fact because Verizon doesn't want them to advertise that fact. But when you go down there and say, if I switch, whose network am I going to be on? They have to tell you it's Verizon. Yeah.
And if you go to Verizon, and say, should I switch to Xfinity, they'll tell you yes.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you go to the Verizon store and say, hey, I got this offer from Xfinity for free. Should I switch? They're going to say, yeah, free is hard to beat. I can't beat free. I'm not going to pay you to be a customer. And you're going to be on the same network and the same towers and the same roaming privileges. And actually, I'll take that back. I don't know why. Xfinity lets me roam in Mexico, and Verizon doesn't. Verizon charges you $2 a day to roam in Mexico. Xfinity includes it. As soon as we cross the border going to Puerto Penasco, it dings and says you're in Mexico, enjoy your services. I don't know why. And it worked overseas. We did a European trip, and we had to pay for that one, but it worked.
What if you have a tablet through Verizon? Is that be included?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. They would probably love that, and I'll tell you why. Because all you're doing on the tablet is using data, which is what they want you to use, because that's what they'll charge you for. The talk, the text, they're not going to charge you. They give you 100 megabyte of data free a month, which is not much data anymore. And then if you use data, it's $12 a gig. But that doesn't include, like I say, in here, if you're on Sunflower Wireless using data, doesn't count that. It's only data when you're out on the towers that they charge you for. So if you use your tablet in your house or over at the center on wireless, you don't have to worry. But I don't know the answer to that because I don't have a tablet, so I never asked them that. Okay, how else do I save? I already talked about Netflix. Got rid of my landline. I used Google Phone. It's crystal clear. It's free. I had to buy the little device that was like $80. It works exactly like my old landline. Voice quality, everything exactly the same. And you're going, why do you want a landline phone? Because I can hear better on it. Terrible hearing. I have one of those volume phones that you can crank the volume up to where the next door neighbor can hear it. So if I'm going to do a long conversation, it's for books and I use it extensively. It goes on sale every July for a lot cheaper than they try to charge you monthly. Solar, and I'm not here to advertise solar, obviously, but I've had it now for 5 years. It saves me $1,500 a year, and I'm 2 years away from having to pay for it completely. and then for the next 13 years, it's all money in the bank. So it was money well spent for me. I couldn't get the same rate on a CD, so it was money well invested for me. I'm not saying it is for everybody. And then I do self-monitored home security, fire, and water leakage. I've got a camera that when we travel, it turns on, it detects motion, it sends me an email and a picture or sound. I've got my alarm system that was in the house when we bought it that I turn on that'll wake the dead, including my next door neighbor who's well armed. And water leakage, I've discovered a device that I'm fascinated by that, hold my hand. Let me get to it in a second. And then streaming of relatively current movies saves me a bunch of money. There's a device I bought. It's a whopping $50. It transmits to your phone no matter where in the world you are. You put these little leak detectors wherever you want in the house, and they sell more if you want more of them. I put an RO system in my kitchen. We redid our kitchen and we wanted to reverse osmosis. And if you have one, you know it's all those plastic water lines that supply. They scare me to death. So I put one of these under the sink. And if it leaks, it sets off an ear-splitting alarm, but it also sends an immediate message to my phone. There's a water leak in the hall bathroom, and if we're traveling, I can call my neighbor who's got a key and say, would you mind going over to the house and cutting off the toilet or whatever's leaking in the hall bathroom versus coming home. You know, water does more damage to homes in Arizona than anything else. Fire, theft, wind, anything. Water's the #1 cause of damage. Realtors should be selling this system. $50, but you do have to have internet service to do it because it's got to get to your phone somehow.
What's the name of that?
Govee, Govee, and it's on Amazon. And like I say, they sell this and they sell additional sensors and stuff, and it works beautifully. I tested every system. It doesn't have to be a lot of water to set it off. It's pretty much when it starts leaking, it detects it, and like I say, ear-splitting alarm as well as a notification to your phone. It goes to Lucy's phone as well, so that you at least know it's leaking. You can call somebody to go turn it off, versus the amount of damage that water can do to your house. That's what it looks like on your phone. When you get an alarm, lights up like that, tells you which one went off.
And it's gotta go on the floor.
Yes. Yeah.
I had a guy try to install it at the 6-inch level off the floor.
Well, it'll go off. It
I
takes
said,
a lot of
"Yeah,
water.
After the damage is done.
Yeah.
Gotta go on the floor.
Yeah. Well, what's nice about that particular, and I'm not trying to sell it, but it's got, see that right there? If water drips on it, it goes off, but it's also got sensors on the bottom that if water's on the floor, it goes off. So it notifies you as early as humanly possible that you've got a leak. And for $50, why wouldn't you protect your house?
How long does the battery last on?
I put in lithiums, 3 years. And then replace all the batteries, everything. And what's nice is it tells you on the phone, you can kind of see it. See that right there?
Yeah.
That's a battery indicator. So it'll tell you on the app, your batteries are getting low, time to replace them in the sensors. Again, it's just something I recently found. It was so cheap.
Do you lay it on the floor or do you lay it on the wall?
I took mine are like in the kitchen cabinet. I put it all the way back in the back of the cabinet, out of sight, out of mind, sitting on the floor of the cabinet.
You just lay it down?
Just lay it down.
Okay.
And in one of those plastic lines. Huh?
I can do that.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, the hardest part is, you see this round device here? That's the internet connection. That's gotta be plugged in and paired to your router.
Oh, that's easy.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you know how to pair things to your router, it's really easy to install. If you don't, you wanna install it, I'd be happy to help you. It doesn't take but a few minutes to do. To me, it was just cheap insurance. Water scares me more than electricity or anything else because it's so, you don't know what's happening until it's way too late. And then, our houses are getting old. Some of the pipes, the hot water heaters and stuff are starting to get a little fragile. So there's been some houses in Sunflower that have been extensively damaged by water heaters is what's been the biggest problem. Okay. So what I've done is I've cut my costs for cell TV and internet, $1,548 a year, streaming at $98 a year. I pay nothing for my landline. So I'm paying $1,646 or 60% savings over the national average. Okay, with no decrease in quality, availability, number of channels, nothing. Actually, it's gone up, and I'm going to show you how. Now, if you can't stand Comcast, and some of us can't, because, and you can't even yell at them anymore because you have to go down there face to face, and they're just nice young people, and you just feel like, I can't cuss this person out. You know, pricing, CenturyLink's doing pricing for life. DirecTV now is available as a streaming service. CenturyLink does bundles. Whatever you do, do not rent your modem and router. It kills me the number of people that are still paying that $9 a month to Comcast to rent their router and their modem. They're less than $100 a piece to buy. And what you buy is better than what Comcast gives you. Yeah.
So I was over at somebody's house and we couldn't get the modem router to work. And I said, how long have you had this? 2014. They were still paying the rental.
You know,
Since 2014.
$100 a month, that's $600.
It didn't even work.
Yeah, they've
And
paid for.
they've never been contacted to say, hey, you need to update this.
Yeah. And Comcast is never going to say to you, oh, by the way, have you thought about buying your own for $70 instead of paying us? No, they love that rental fee.
No, they told me to go buy my own.
Did they?
Yeah.
You got a nice person. Oh, you got a woman, didn't you?
No, I got the manager.
Oh, okay.
He said, this is the router.
Who was it? Can I tell the story?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to tell you how to get taken care of at Comcast, okay? This wasn't part of the presentation, but I'm going to tell it anyway. Anita went down there frustrated as hell, okay? And we won't go into what it was about. It was Comcast. And she went up to the desk, and whoever the salesperson was told her the exact same thing. And she just started banging her head on the desk. Seriously.
It worked.
They brought the manager out.
They either thought I was going to have I was going to go postal on them.
Yeah.
Or they thought I was an old lady with mental problems.
Yeah.
And they took care of me really fast. So.
And did what you wanted them to do.
What brand router?
It doesn't matter. We use TP-Link, TP-LINK in the tech club. And it's what I use at home. So it's the one I'm most familiar with. And the one in the tech club has never let us down. Its uptime is 100%.
And if you go to Amazon, if you're going to buy it
Yeah.
on Amazon, they'll tell you if it's compatible with Xfinity or.
Yeah.
So it's just basically pulling out the wires and plugging them back in.
Very simple.
One last thing.
Yeah.
I'm a native New Yorker, I'm a snowbird. I was in New York when the towers came down. I had landline. I was thinking of going landline free.
Right.
The World Trade Center towers came down. Everybody lost their internet,
Yep.
lost their phones. So I became telephone central for all my friends.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's calling me and I'm calling out. I don't wish 9/11 on anybody, anywhere, but the idea of not having an alternate form of communication, a little scary to me, based on experience.
Yes, I know. Because if we do lose the internet, we lose an awful lot of what we're talking about today. You know, the cell towers, though, in New York on 9/11 is because they were overloaded. They didn't go down.
They were also on the top of the building.
Well, that building, yeah, but there was other cell towers that just got overloaded. They couldn't handle the volume, and so nobody could get through. You know, and a landline would. But, you know, again, I don't want to pay that for the possibility of what if. That's just me.
I lived through what if.
Yeah.
I kind of hate to admit this, but I'm still renting my modem.
Yep.
And I've had to call Comcast, several times and say something's wrong. And they said, okay, we'll reset your modem. But what if it's not their modem?
They reset it.
They still do that?
Yeah.
Oh.
And plus, there's an app for your phone where you can reset your own modem.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's exactly what they do. Only it goes on your phone and you can reset it yourself. But they still, if you call them and say, my modem's, I'm not getting the speeds I should or whatever, they'll tell you, we're going to reset your modem, wait 15 minutes, blah, blah, blah.
Amazing.
Same thing.
Okay.
Because
that's what I was wondering.
Comcast still wants you to have their service because you write them a check every month. So they're willing to help you keep the service going. Otherwise, you're liable to say, I'm done with it, I'm going to the century.
Okay, two things. Earlier you said something about a Google phone, that's a landline,
Yes.
and how do you get that?
You go on to Google, type in the word Google phone, and it'll show you how to do it.
Okay.
It'll tell you the device you need to buy from Amazon for it to work, dirt cheap. And the only problem is you gotta pick a phone number. You can't transfer your existing landline number
No, I don't have that.
to it. Okay. So you'll do what I did. You'll pick a phone number and say, here's my new phone number.
Okay, the other question was,
I forgot.
We're not done. You got plenty of time to remember.
I have an UMA phone,
Yeah.
oh,
so that number, it's like, it's taxes every quarter, it gets $6 a quarter. But it's interesting, I get calls coming in, and I can make calls going out, but if I wanna change that to a Google phone, I couldn't. The only reason I keep it is to keep that
Can't keep
old
the
number.
number.
Yeah.
There's a way around it.
Ah, alright,
You can port that number. Okay.
yeah,
If you want to keep your phone number, you want to use Google phone real quickly because it's complicated. You go buy a throwaway cell phone, you port your existing
to that.
to that, and then you can move that to Google. I don't know why, but that's the way it works. So you can
For
keep your phone
$19
number.
you can port it,
Yeah, but it's a little complicated to do. I just went in and picked a new phone number, a 520 phone number, because nobody calls me on that anyway.
But UMA works.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make phone.
What I like about it is I don't know why it doesn't get any spam calls.
No.
That phone never rings with a political call or anything else. When it rings, I know it's somebody calling me. It's somebody I gave the phone number to.
Okay, I remember. So you mentioned Comcast, and then you mentioned Xfinity. Aren't they the same?
Same thing, yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Why are they doing these sort of things? If you don't know, and Sean did a beautiful presentation on this about a year and a half ago. I'm sorry, Michelle.
Do you recommend Amazon for buying the modem and the router, or you
Yes.
should go to,
Amazon.
Best Buy, or?
I'm an Amazon addict. I do research prices, but Amazon's prices are always at least competitive with everybody else, often the lowest. And I love their return policy. Take it to Kohl's and throw it at them, and somehow it makes its way back to Amazon. So yeah, I think that's the best place to go, is Amazon to get it. 5G, you've heard it start to be advertised now, is going to be the new wave of cell phone and internet connection. It's cell phone at 1 gigabyte speed, about 10 times the speed we currently have from internet. And the 5G providers are going to do it for $40 a month is what they're talking about. Give you gigabyte service, which is 10 times the speed you probably have, for about half of what you're paying. So Comcast wants to lock you in as many ways as they can with your cell phone and everything else so that you don't take advantage of this when it comes out. You go, oh, I don't want to change my phone number because my cell phone's with them and my landline is with them and my home security is with them. It's just too much trouble to go to a new provider. So that's why they're doing deals like zero charge for a cell phone, is to get you locked in now before this hits. And it's starting to hit in cities already. Don't sign a contract for more than a year unless they've given at least a 40% discount in anticipation of what's coming down the road that may be better for everybody concerned. What's next? And these are some of the new things now that have been added since we last cut the cord in here. Peacock. It's going to be free to Comcast customers. We don't know what they're going to charge others. It's going to be the entire NBC library from the day they started. Every TV show, every movie, every special they ever did is going to be available. So if you like the Dick Van Dyke Show that premiered on NBC, they got every episode that ever showed. And it's all commercial free. So, I love this, LG Channels Plus. On my LG Smart TV, I get 160 channels that the rest of you can't get, unless you have an LG Smart TV. Pluto TV got bought by Viacom, and this is free. And they're bringing a lot more mainstream TV into their program, again, for free. Unlock My TV. It's not live streaming, but it's all channels and all movies available for free. Okay, and no commercials in the TV. LG, I couldn't get the picture any bigger, but this is what I get: NBC News Live, ABC News Live, Duck Dynasty, which I never watch, Fox Sports, which is why I like it. I get Fox Sports on it, so I'm starting to get sports channels for free. But again, got to own an LG TV to get it.
I own a 2-year-old LG TV. Would it have it on?
Yes, if it's a Web OS operating system.
Web OS?
Web OS is what LG calls their operating system. And my TV's about 2 years old as well, so you should be able to. And they don't I don't know why they don't advertise it. They don't. I stumbled across it by accident, and I've been watching it ever since, and I enjoy it. Okay, what everyone should have, and it's a good thing Anita had to leave the room. She's an Apple fanatic. She's one of those people. An Android smart TV device, okay, like a Fire Stick. They're $25. Why? Android was developed as an operating system for geeks, for computer geeks who like to play with stuff. And as such, it can be done what's called side-loaded, with applications that aren't necessarily in the public domain. Okay, they aren't in the Google store, they aren't in the Apple store. They're applications that have been written by hackers or people experimenting with different things, and you can actually put them on the Fire Stick. You can't put them on anything Apple. Apple, you can't sideload an Apple. You download a little program called Downloader, and you can take whatever, put whatever you want on it. I carry mine around with me. When we go down to Port Penasco, I take it with me. As long as I have internet in the room we're staying in, plug it in. Got all the shows I could ever want.
Then why are you going to Mexico if you can watch TV?
We gotta do something tonight at our age. This is where you can get the downloader program, but all you need to do is type into Google downloader program, and it'll give you the web address. I use this program called Unlock My TV. I can go in and look at, it's not live, past episodes of any TV show you can think of. And it takes about 3 or 4 days for the episode to make it up here. So if you're a big NCIS fan, it'll take about 3 or 4 days after the episode airs this week to show up here. But what's nice is it's shown without commercials here. So you don't have to flip through all the commercials. They also have a movie page. You can get fairly current movies. Lion King, the most recent one, is available now. Fast and Furious, if you're into that franchise. And again, click on it and watch it. Questions?
Are those for smart TVs only or for any TV?
They will only work on a Android, Roku, Amazon Fire Stick that you connect separate to your TV. You can load them into a smart TV, but you run the real risk of bricking, what's called bricking your TV, making your TV worthless. Locking up the operating system. So I've never tried it. I'm not that good. I don't want to mess up my TV. But a Fire Stick's $25. It's in one of the HDMI ports, and so I play around with that all the time. If I brick that, I buy another $25 Fire Stick. And that's where I have those programs, Unlock My TV, some other ones that I use that I've downloaded. And there's a couple that are trying to do live TV, like a current football game and stuff. They don't work real well. If you can wait a day, then you can go in there and watch the game without commercials. If you don't know who won, or you're like me, you forgot it overnight who won, you can go watch it.
Tom, what's the ballpark price of the antenna?
And they sell this with 2 of these looper things and all kinds of stuff. This one works the best, and it's like $69. And there's this isn't the only, it's Clearstream who makes this one. It isn't the only one that works. Other people have got different, I drive around the neighborhood, I see different antennas. This is the one that when we used to do the Tech Expo, Harry used to sit up here with this antenna and hold it up in the air, tilt it and stuff, and show how many channels we could get.
I found the info on our webpage, under the presentations page, if you go to the third Technology Expo,
If you want it installed.
there's a lot of info on the antennas, how to install them and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's all on the webpage.
Okay.
Yeah, that, like I said, that's always been kind of the biggest drawback. How do I get it up there? I'm not going to climb a ladder, and I need somebody. And a lot of people you call, they're like, I'm not coming out to your house to put an antenna up on a pole. I can't charge you enough to make it worthwhile. You won't pay me enough to make it worthwhile.
Most of the hardware for the dishes actually fold down, that's how I did mine.
Yeah,
It actually folds down, I could connect everything and then just.
fold it back up.
I
Yeah,
didn't have to climb up on it.
you're a young guy. You're young.
Well, I don't know about that.
You're not worried about your hip. Yes.
I tape everything. I don't watch anything live, so having the DVR is costing me. So are the Unlock My TV and the Fire Stick solutions for that?
Sure, because it's when you want to watch it. Now, there's also, if you want to go to an antenna, there's now over-the-air DVRs. Amazon, I can't remember what they call it. Amazon sells a over-the-air DVR. So you run your antenna to it. It gives you the schedules, just like you see on your screen now, and you can DVR the networks that you get, PBS and the networks and stuff, on this device and play it back. So if you really want to have a DVR, Amazon's got the solution. For a long time, the only one that was out there was TiVo, and it was fairly expensive, and you had to subscribe.
Right.
The Amazon one, you don't subscribe. Once you buy it, you get all the guides and everything that you need. So it's one way if you'd rather do DVR than going through Unlock My TV and all that stuff. It's an easy way to do it.
So if you are gonna hook up the thing, you're gonna have to have a splitter, right?
A splitter?
To hook
No,
up-
the splitter's in the DVR thing. In other words, you bring your cable to the DVR
Oh, and then go.
and then go out of the DVR. Yeah,
To the TV.
yeah.
Are you looking long-term from an informational standpoint of either bulletins or maybe some life things on our network, talking about 5G? Because a lot of people still don't understand, when it's coming, how it's coming, what can I do? That's a huge opportunity.
We need to get Sean back to update his presentation because he researched the heck out of it.
He did.
I mean,
Great
he
presentation.
talked to providers and scientists, and I mean, he had a really good presentation. But it's been, like I say, it's been probably
2 years.
2 or 3 years since he did it, and it's come a long way since then. And I'm sure, knowing Sean, he's still keeping up with it. And he's happy to come and make presentations. So I think asking him to update it would help
Reach out to
everybody.
him.
Because yeah, it's going to be, when it gets here, it's going to be amazing. Because one of the things they think is going to happen with 5G, it doesn't have a lot of range. That's the drawback.
That's where you have to have more.
You have to have more repeaters, that they'll come into a neighborhood like ours and go to every 10th house and say, Roger, if you'll let us put this little antenna on your house,
We'll give it to you for
free. You get your internet's free because you let us put an antenna on your house. And I would gladly volunteer for that.
Why don't we send them volunteer names?
Yeah. Other questions? Okay. I hope that was helpful. I would have wished there more people be here, but I know what's going on. So it's better to be safe than come out if you don't feel comfortable doing so. I think we're going to be fine, but I do think technology is going to play. I think before all this is over with this coronavirus, a lot of us are going to be doing telemed. And if you weren't here for the presentation on telemed, it is fascinating what's being done at a distance these days. Doctors with digital stethoscopes 100 miles away that they're listening to your heart and taking your blood pressure and everything without having to be there.
Just look at drive-through testing.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, like drive-through testing.
Just that innovation by
Yeah.
itself is going to eliminate.
Well, and I think the health department's going to start making allowances for senior neighborhoods, like maybe bringing a van by periodically to do testing, that you would go out in the parking lot and, boom, boom, they scan you or whatever they do, just to try to keep the older citizens safe so that we don't get it and create more. Because if we get it, we're going to create a big burden on the hospitals. Because we're going to need, a lot of us are going to need to go to the hospital because we have underlying conditions, and they don't want that happening. They'd rather that, you either don't get it or you get a mild case of it and get as much treatment here as you can. I drove Tim crazy, if you didn't notice. He's trying to record this for Facebook. And my walking back and forth, I could see it on his face. He's like, is man ever going to stand still? And I never do.
We've got a ways to go, but we're going to get there. Any of the clubs that want to use Facebook Live, let me know. I'll teach you. It's really simple. This recording will be on the net. Any of our newsletters, if you hit that bottom button, you will go to straight to the Tech Club. If not, sunflowerliving.com. You'll get there eventually. Click and find it. But thank you all for coming out and braving it. Hopefully we'll be here next month. And we'll probably be communicating a little more by email because of the situation. I'll try to get some of these links and stuff as well as up on the website. We'll get another couple emails out. So thank you for coming. Thank you, Tom.
And I will send this presentation to Tim to get put up on the